Welcome back everyone, I'm Genevieve Moongarden, and it's the 7th and final school that's finally getting all their spells upgraded and checking out the spell audit notes for is life. And all of these notes are from Kyle Icewielder in the Wizard101 forum, talking about all the different spell audits. First up is Imp, and these are just the bottom path of the Arc 1 spells that they're talking about in the notes. Used to cost 2 pips on the bottom path, now it costs 1 pip. It used to do a max of 150, now it can do a max of 45. And before it did a heal over time of 155 over 5 rounds, which that might have been an update after the first update because I don't think it was 5 rounds. But anyhow, now it activates a heal over time, meaning it's like detonate. It makes all the heal happen all at once. And that one's a pretty handy spell, if I say so myself. I love detonating those, especially for 1 pip. I mean, you don't even care about the damage on that. You can use it on Sprite. You can use it on Leprechaun. You can use it on Pigsy now, because Pigsy is a heal over time now as well. You can use it on Sprite Swarm, but it only works on yourself. And you can use it on Regenerate. You can use it on Rebirth, etc. There's so many that you can use it on. Any heal over time. We upgraded this to Tier 2 a while ago, so now with 115 Spellements needed to get to Tier 3, we have plenty enough for that. Now instead of 30, it's going to do 35 damage. Nice. And then to get to Tier 4, it needs 190 Spellements, and then it'll do 40 damage, and then detonate that heal over time. Next up is Leprechaun. The bottom path of Leprechaun used to cost 3 pips, now it's back down to 2 pips. The max used to do a median of 95, now it does a median of 150 max. This is the one that used to activate the heal over time. Now instead, it clears a negative ward and gives you a heal over time of 320 over 5 rounds. Nice, nice, I like that. And this one can definitely be used in conjunction with Camp Bandit. Yeah, that is for sure. Alrighty, it's going to take 115 Spellements to get it to Tier 3 because before the update, we upgraded that to Tier 2. It's going to make the damage go up just a little bit, and then clearing that trap and the potential heal over time is going to stay the same. Let's go! We're not quite getting into Tier 4 at 190 Spellements. Next up is Nature's Wrath. Previously, if the caster's health is greater than 50%, then they would give you a plus 35% life blade. Now, if the enemy has 1 or 2 DOTs, then it gives 1 or 2 30% life blades and 1 to 2 30% heal charms. And for all of these, that is a max of 2. Doesn't say anything about if the damage amounts were changed. So let me look at my old one. Okay, let's just say Tier 2 was 205 to 245. So yeah, the damage amounts seem to have stayed the same. It's just the effect that has changed. All right, 75 Spellements to get to Tier 2. Let's go. And not quite enough to get it to Tier 3 at 115 Spellements. Next, Seraph. Previously, Seraph did 250 damage max and then pushed a DOT. Now it does 325 damage on the max tier, and if the caster has 1 or 2 heal over time, then it does 130 or 260 more damage. Boosts are good. We had previously upgraded this before all these spell changes, so let's upgrade to Tier 3 for 115 Spellements. Let's go. And then to get it to Tier 4, it's quite a ways away at 190 Spellements. Next up, Earthwalker. Previously, the damage maxed out at 455, now it's down to 415. Not too much of a change. And previously, if the caster had 1 to 4 negative wards, some nice trappy poos, then you would do 75, 150, 225, or 300 more damage. Now, Earthwalker does the damage and then clears 1 to 2 damage over times on the caster for 1 to 2 200 damage over 5 rounds. And 75 Spellements to get it to Tier 2. Let's go. Yeah, let's try that one out. And then we don't have enough to get it to Tier 3 at 115 Spellements, but almost. And the final one for the first arc spells is Centaur. The damage used to max out at 560, now they bumped it up to 575, and it used to be that if the caster had a heal over time, the result was 205 additional damage, which was really nice. Now instead, it clears 1 to 3 negative wards and gives me 1 to 3 plus 25% universal blades. That's kind of cool. 75 Spellements to get it to Tier 2. Let's go. And we're still pretty far away from getting it to tier 3 at 115 SPELLEMENTS. Now for the lore spells. First up is Luminous Weaver. She doesn't have hardly any of the lore spells, but I can at least show you the path. All versions of Luminous Weaver used to be 4 pips, now there are 2 pips and a life pip. Now the base, which is tier 1, and the top path are no PvP, and that does damage and then gives a weakness. The bottom path, however, is a new one because it didn't used to have 2 paths. Now it gives a plus 20% healing blade and a plus 20% life blade. And next up is Pigsy. Pigsy used to cost 4 pips, now it is 2 pips and 1 life pip. Now instead of just healing everyone, it does, well, it says it does heal and then heal over time for everyone. And tier 1 starts out at 550 healing with 320 over 4 rounds, and then maxes out at 625 healing and then 320 over 4 rounds. So the secondary healing for everyone doesn't change. And we have enough spell months to get this to tier 2. Let's go. Yes. And then we're still very far away from getting that to tier 3 at 115 SPELLEMENTS, where it'll do 590 healing. And by the way, you can upgrade those with Primordial and Radical and Rat Spin. The only thing that changed on this one was it went from costing 4 pips to 2 pips and 1 life pip. Camp Bandit, my old buddy. As far as I know, all of this got changed in some way. All versions used to cost 5 pips, now they are 3 pips and 1 life pip. The base, tier 1, and the top path went to no PvP. And that's the version where it does a little bit of damage, and then it converts 1 trap on yourself into a life trap on the enemy. Unless, of course, they die, then the life trap stays on you. The bottom path, however, used to do 344 damage. Now it maxes out at 270 damage, and instead of converting the negative ward, it pushes a DOT. So that's nice that they gave you 2 totally separate versions. But if you want to use this in PvP, you can only do it by using the bottom path. And I won't be upgrading this because I don't have 115 SPELLEMENTS to get that to tier 3. And now we come to Goat Monk. Goat Monk is one that still only has 1 path. It used to cost 5 pips, now it only costs 3 pips and 1 life pip. Then it used to do a heal over time, 120 over 5 rounds. Now it gives you a protected heal over time, maxing out at 535 or 5 rounds. Pretty nice. Last of the lore spells is Sacred Charge. She doesn't have this one, unfortunately. None of my other wizards do. So I can just show you the item card that she gets from the Silent Night footgear. This used to cost 5 pips, now it's 4 pips and 1 life pip. Now their change just says it went from 500 damage to 525 damage. However, I don't know why it doesn't mention anything about the absorb. I guess maybe because it didn't change. It does 525 damage and then it gives an absorb of 250 to yourself. What is it flashing? There's only a couple of the shadow spells because she doesn't have any yet that I can show you only via treasure card. First up is Hungry Caterpillar. It used to give as a secondary effect 800 absorb. Now it gives a protected heal over time, 550 over 5 rounds after doing that damage. That's pretty nice too. And then Wings of Fate changed from a DOT that only did 375 over 3 rounds to a protected 680 over 5 rounds. And a heal over time that was 780 over 3 rounds into a protected 680 over 5 rounds. So they used to be uneven, doing less damage over time and more heal over time over 3 rounds. Now they are both protected, both the exact same amount at 680. Nice. But they do have the initial 75 too, though, which is that's okay. And then and here, the tier 1 and top path are no PvP. The bottom path went from the lowering of the single pips and still 1 shadow pip to tier 2 and tier 3 being 5 pips and 1 shadow pip. The damage went from 620 max to 785 max. And then instead of pacifying for 3 rounds, now it detonates a DOT and activates a heal over time. Wow, nice. And then Lord of the Jungle. The base, tier 1, and the top path are no PvP. And those do damage and converting an absorb into a blade. I'm guessing half of the absorb into a blade. Well, since absorbs are flat amounts, that must be a flat amount blade as well. So for instance, if you did Rebirth, that's a 400 absorb. So that means you would get a 200 blade. Not a 200%, just a 200 damage blade. So I gotcha. I understand that one. However, so the bottom path, instead of costing 5 pips and then 4 pips and then 1 shadow pip, now everything on the bottom is just 6 pips, and instead of maxing out at 550 damage, now this one maxes out at 660 damage, and instead of converting an absorb to a blade, now it gives you a plus 40% life blade and a plus 40% heal charm. Go heals! Okie doke! There are 3 other spells that got changed that are not spells that have spell element paths, so let's check those out. Number 1 is Hunting Worm, which apparently I trained a while ago just because, and I never noticed they took it off of PvP only, or else I would have been using this sucker Slugger, 5 pips for damage and damage over time, and then heal and heal over time for 4 rounds. Yes please, thank you. And it used to do 300 each for the heal over time and the damage over time over 3 rounds. Now it does 320 over 4 rounds for each one. And then next up is Regenerate. Regenerate used to do 265 healing and then 1050 heal over 3 rounds for 1 person. Now it does 420 heal and then 1150 heal over time protected over 5 rounds. And finally, Sprite. It used to do a heal and then 270 over 3 rounds. Now it does a small heal and 280 over 4 rounds. Yes, Foxy, that was a long thing for these spells. Thanks so much everyone for checking out this video showing off the different spell upgrades and spell audit changes for Life School since December 2022. This is already January, so hopefully they won't change anything for a while. But you never know. Everything's a work in progress. Thanks so much for hanging out, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye!